on some episodes, it ain't going to be all roses, man. Sometimes you got to figure out who the heck is messing up, and you got to call that out, man. The defense, good gracious, giving up points left and right, week after week after week. This time, the running game and Austin Eckler. We'll talk about how much longer can we stand this from Joe Woods. Also, we'll talk about the reinforcement coming. You know it's always bad when you make a trade during midweek right after a game and say, give me a linebacker. Dion Jones is now a new Cleveland Brown. We'll talk about that move and what it means. And also, we got to get to this. Hey, a lot of people, Stefanski gets a lot of heat, but he doesn't deserve the heat for the offense. We'll tell you why. It's a surprising stat. And look at the numbers. That just goes to show you Stefanski and the offense isn't the problem. We'll do that all coming up on a day after the action episode of Locked On Browns podcast.
You are Locked On Browns, your daily Cleveland Browns podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. Your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound, LGB on ELOB, the Locked On Browns podcast. Your host, Jeff Lloyd, at Jeff_LJ_Lloyd. Your host, Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, Barbershop 92.3, The Fan, Mr. Garrett Bush, at GBush91. Look, again, some shows are easier than others. We ain't even going to sugarcoat it. Last not even 24 hours yet for the Browns. It's been a difficult time. Today's episode of Locked On Browns is presented by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is a daily fantasy made easy. Pick 2 to 5 players, and if they score more or less than their Prize Picks projection, you can win up to 10 times your money on your entry. First-time users can receive a $100 instant deposit match up to $100 with the promo code Locked On, all caps, no space. That's prizepicks.com. Promo code Locked On. We appreciate everybody makes Locked On Browns their first listen, whether it's in YouTube, whether it's in traditional podcast format. Thanks for all the subscribes, downloads, all of that. Appreciate it. YouTube, make sure you're subscribed, got notifications on so you get the content as soon as it drops for you guys to consume. And of course, the Roku app. Go ahead, check out Locked On Cleveland Sports. You'll find us. You'll find Locked On Guardians, Locked On Cavs, and of course, the incredible group over at the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Before we get into it, congratulations, Guardian fans. I will be joining this ride, G. Bush. My baseball season has ended. I will not be going across town to the big, bad, jerky Yankees. Let's go, Cleveland.
Yeah, listen. We take all bandwagon guys and detractors from the Yankees. We'll gladly and bring you aboard and say thank you.
Look, if I'm already 1/3 invested, what's 2/3 at this point? Give me something to do here this October, obviously. But look, getting down to it, look, deplorable. There is no other word for the defensive effort yesterday from the Cleveland Browns, but then deplorable. It was terrible. It was a bad effort. You had no answers against the run. We talked about Justin Herbert. It seemed like he just throws up 300 yards at will week in, week out. 230. I think it was 234 was the number or whatever. He didn't even have to bother throwing the ball because that's how much they were destroying them. We've talked about Austin Eckler. He's literally eaten the Browns alive numerous times throughout his career. Guess what happened yesterday? Austin Eckler, again, ate the Cleveland Browns alive. The thing, and if anybody was not sure of the presence, the value, the leadership, the guidance that Anthony Walker brought to this team and brought to this defense. Look, Anthony Walker was making, I think it was like 3 and change Anthony Walker was making this year. He's worth probably 10 times that much because in 2 games without him, you saw a unit that is lost, undisciplined. And the thing, Garrett, is they continue to seem to make the same mistakes. Football in defense, it is so assignment driven. So the point is you have to do your assignment because if you don't, then nobody else is in that place to stop anything. And when you get Austin Eckler going 8-9 yards before he's even dealing with a defender, that is a serious major issue. And look, Joe Woods, I've 2020, Joe Woods basically a one-legged man in an ass-kicking contest, but somehow got this team to the playoffs and won a playoff game. 2021, whole bunch of new players, improved players. It started really, really slow. And then as the weeks went on, you saw that this offense was holding this team back. The defense was getting it done. Here we are in 2022. Not much newness, and that's okay, because you would have thought in year 2, these players would have developed more. You know, the mistakes of, missed assignments would have never been an issue with this team. But you got some players right now. And look, Grant Delpit fills up a stat sheet, but I think Grant Delpit right now isn't playing disciplined because the level in front of him isn't playing disciplined. So it's causing him to basically not trust his eyes as to what he's seeing. Jacob Phillips and even Jeremiah Usu-Koramoah, it is fantastic to run around the field 100 million miles an hour, Garrett. But you got to make some things happen. You got to be where you got to be. Look, the defensive tackles, it ain't nothing changed. You're getting bodied 5-7 yards down the field. It's creating just basically a mass mosh pit that now linebackers have to run around because you can't go through. Safeties have to run around to find the ball carrier because you can't go through it. It's an absolute stinking mess right now. I hate the fire this guy, fire that guy crowd, but you truly have to understand and get to the bottom of what is the disconnect from what Joe Woods thinks will work and what his players are actually performing on the field. Because sometimes that call goes in, it doesn't come to fruition. So you're either calling things that they're not comfortable with, or maybe after 2.5 seasons, maybe it's just not working anymore between this defensive coordinator and this defense, Jay.
Well, I'll just throw it out there. And I'll be on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, and I'll be talking about a little bit about this later on today. I worked in corporate America for almost 11 years. And in corporate America, I was I would say probably at the end when I finally left and started to do radio and television full time, I had up to almost 30 direct reports. And I was responsible for all things and above, timesheets, disciplinary, write-ups, progressive discipline, benefits, onboarding, training, all that, scheduling. And when you got that many people reporting to you, you have a lot of stuff that you had to juggle and deal with. However, when it came to my superiors and people above me, management, service line managers, executives, they didn't say, "Hey, Garrett, you got a person not coming to work." They looked at that as that's on me. You need to figure out why that person isn't coming to work. And if they aren't coming to work, you need to hold them responsible. If a person had production issues, they say, "Hey, Garrett, why is this person's production down? Do you have an action plan? Have you worked with them? Have you given them additional training? What have you done to make sure that they can get up to make sure they can hit those metrics?" And I was held responsible for those numbers. You know why? Because I was the individual who was in the place and position of leadership and authority. And on top of it, just sitting up there every single day talking about, "Yeah, that's on me, I'll own it." What's your action plan? What are some actionable steps that you can get to get to get through to those members on your team in order to get them up to standard on what the production requirements are? And so all of this stuff that I see with the Cleveland Browns and a lot of stuff that we see in every single day, it's nothing but excuses. And at some point, you just got to call it what it is. It's excuses. Being on the same page ain't got nothing to do with tackling nobody. Being on the same page don't have nothing to do with how much you effort you give in game tackling, running to the football, playing with them passion and enthusiasm. None of those things have anything to do with being on the same page. And from now on, I'm going to just call what being on the same page is. It's called not doing your job. And you know what happens to people who don't do their jobs? Either he's allowing them not to do their job, or he's coaching them not to do their job. Either way, you're responsible for it. So maybe you need to make an example over there, Joe Woods, of some other individuals who aren't doing their job, who aren't doing what they need to be doing. Or it's going to fall on your shoulders. So to me, yeah, they can say it's missed assignments, but MA's missed assignments to me, I know I haven't played in a while, but missed assignments were the cardinal sin. If you had missed assignments, you couldn't play. We could deal with, hey, you missed a tackle here, we'll work on tackling. Hey, we can work on some of those other technique issues. But when you talking about you just don't know where to go and you doing your own thing, nah, we cannot play. You will never win as a football team. And so every week they're coming up here telling me that they know what it is, and they're not doing anything to fix it with any sort of urgency. And to be honest, we're fooling ourselves if we think this is playoff football. We're fooling ourselves if you think Deshaun Watson's going to come back and it's going to somehow be all buttoned up and everything's going to be good. And this is not one insulated incident. The run fits are the worst I've ever seen. Guys can't get off blocks. Guys have no good pursuit angles. It's just right now, I can't give you one thing that the defense is good at. One, I just can't. I can't point to anything. So that's where we are at this point.
And I agree with you, but you look at it this way also: the run, the pass rush. You got Clowney back, you got Myles Garrett back. They didn't get anything done,
Nope.
And this was, they didn't even pressure Herbert. And I'll be at the end of it. I mean, passing defense doesn't really matter yesterday. It's the fact that you got gashed for about 470 yards in 2 games. It's truly embarrassing. We'll get to Coach Stefanski here, and for Cade York, look, yeah, you would have liked those kicks, you would have. But, if we're going to be in a position where, we're going to ride the entire season and put on a 4th-round rookie kicker, that ain't a recipe for, success either. So with the disappointing effort yesterday from this defense, I would say I don't even know, Garrett, if we were done with the locker room post-game quotes from the likes of Mary Kay Cabot and all these guys, players, coaches. Browns made a trade. We'll get to all that here. Locked On Browns, the latest Browns difficult spot yesterday, 30-28 losers to the Los Angeles Chargers. Garrett Bush, Jeff Lloyd, your latest Locked On Browns. Look, tonight, you got Patrick Mahomes, you got Derek Carr, you got Waller, you've got Clyde Edwards-Helaire, you've got Devontae Adams, you've got Travis Kelce. Why don't you go ahead and take a look into Prize Picks? Pick 2 to 5 players, and if they go score more or less than the Prize Pick projection, you can win up to 10 times your money on any entry. You're not competing against other people. It is literally just you versus the projections available. Prize Picks offers projections on any sport that you watch. NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, women's sports, collegiate sports, you name it, they got it. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It is just that easy. Safe and fast withdrawals. Currently operational in over 30 states in Canada. Download the Prize Picks app or go to prizepicks.com to sign up and play daily fantasy sports. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with the promo code LOCKEDON. Deposit $100, they'll match you $150, they'll match you $50. Don't forget to enter the promo code LOCKEDON at sign up for instant deposit match up to $100.
Welcome back to the Locked On Browns podcast. G. Bush, Jeff Lloyd in the building. Tough loss yesterday. To a lot of people, unacceptable loss with the Cleveland Browns. One thing that is acceptable is that you go ahead and subscribe to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show and subscribe to the Locked On Browns podcast. Reason you want to do that is so you every week we've been there, right? Every week we've been in a 2-minute post-game show. Something has happened. We start to go on our rant about how the Browns is unacceptable. Next thing that happens, Jeff says, guys, the Browns got the ball back after they go for a 4th down. They missed it. They have the ball back on the 50-something yard line. We're ready to go. I said, what? What happened? So he perfectly broke down the situation where the Chargers almost gave the game back to the Browns, setting up a last-second field goal for Cade York, who unfortunately missed it. But if you don't have the notification bell and you're not subscribed to either Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show or Locked On Browns podcast, you're going to miss it just like Cade York did. You're not going to know we're going to be on. Hit that notification bell. Make sure you get in contact with all of the content that we have coming out every single day. Jeff, Dion Jones, like you said, the ink wasn't even dry on the article for the game. The ink wasn't even dry, dog.
I don't even think editors were done reading pieces yet, bro.
Man, we didn't work. Listen, we work so much. We doing all these shows so much. Man, I seen it. I said, I'll talk to y'all tomorrow. We can't go breaking news with Dion Jones. We just got done, exhausted my voice, as you can tell. I did like 97 post-game shows. That somebody was like, are you imitating? I said, no, Jeff's voice. That's what gives him. I said, that's a signature voice right there, man. That's that Maverick voice. Mine just sound like I've been yelling at the top of a mountain for the last 5 weeks. It's differences levels, but man, you could tell. And when I said this earlier, I said, look, Andrew Berry, hey, he can get smoked too. Andrew Berry know what it was, and you always know somebody is understanding what's going on out there when they make a move like this directly after the game. He is up in that box looking down like, oh, this is. I don't know if maybe the Haslams was like tapped him on the shoulder, hey, bro. What the heck's going on with this defense down there, bro? What's these tackles? How can they run the ball like that? He's like, let me get these reinforcements. They go get Dion Jones, who was a former all-pro type linebacker. The guy can run, and just namely the thing he can do, run sideline to sideline. They knew that they needed another signal caller. Phillips looked lost, couldn't get off blocks. Run fits nowhere to be. I mean, it was horrible. So you go out and get another middle linebacker. You talked about them missing Anthony Walker. You talked about that void. They go out and get another linebacker to try to figure this thing out. Jeff, what are your thoughts on Dion Jones, and what type of impact do you think that he will make? Does he still have something left in the tank?
Well, just real quick, a couple of years ago, Darren Waller, one of the star tight ends in the NFL right now, with the Las Vegas Raiders. Raiders were in Washington playing, I'm pretty sure it was the Redskins at the time when the name was. Looked over, saw this practice squad guy warming up, and it was Darren Waller. And they're like, Jesus, good God, look at this dude. 2 days later, they snap him off the practice squad, put him on their active roster. Darren Waller's had a hell of an career since. Browns were in Atlanta last week. So I'm assuming, during pregame, somehow, some way, maybe a couple GMs cross paths. And, hey, Dion might be available. And, I'm sure Andrew Berry put it in the back of his head. And probably some talks were had. And probably what went on in Berea this week was, look, if this don't get better Sunday, I've got a guy that I think can solve this problem. I'm not saying solve it completely, but is going to go out there and is going to do what his assignment is as the middle linebacker. Dion Jones, and a lot of people, he's on injured reserve. Apparently he's on injured reserve, but he's apparently ready to come off at any given point. So anybody who's got their up in arms about that. The Browns did not give up any draft picks to get Dion Jones. In the 6th round, in the 7th round of 2024, Browns said, and this is funny because it's so far in advance, the Browns said, whatever our picks are, we'll swap them with yours. We know the way this league works. I mean, it might end up where you're never swapping picks because, Atlanta might be like, well, we can't, why are your picks might not be better? You know what I'm saying? So this may turn into something where they never actually truly take the picks. Right. But you get Dion Jones in here. And there was a time where Dion Jones was a really highly productive linebacker in this league. Good athleticism. You're going to look at PFF. Yeah, some of the grades aren't promising. Career, according to PFF, 90% coverage grade. So these pass plays to Austin Eckler, you're going to get more effective on, hopefully, with that. And I think the thing is they just need a more mature mind on the field with him, Garrett. Obviously, there's some disconnect because when JOK plays with Anthony Walker, he plays better. When Jacob Phillips plays with Anthony Walker, he plays better. Hey, and maybe it's okay and it's understandable that these kids aren't just there yet. It's understandable. It's not good, but it's maybe somewhat understandable. And, of course, you keep in mind Darius Leonard in his time with the Colts basically says the reason I'm an all-pro linebacker in this league is because a guy like Anthony Walker basically said, you need to be there. You need to be, if you got any questions, so you need somebody else that can do this. Look, the writing's on the wall. There's a lot of things changing down in Atlanta, but you get this player in here in Jones, and he's a 100 tackle per year guy. He should, leg-wise, should be really, really fresh coming into this. Obviously, coming off a little bit of shoulder on the upper body, surgery on the upper body, but you get a veteran in here. And maybe that's something that can corral these guys together. Browns, obviously, as we can tell, they love their LSU guys, so they went out and got another one. But Dion Jones and Browns are basically on the hook, I think, for a percentage of $1 million as they rework this contract. Atlanta's going to eat a ton of money on this player. But so you basically found as good a player as you could possibly find for basically dirt cheap. And you're telling these kids, look, it's up to you. You will determine your playing time because this guy's coming in here and we're pretty confident in what he can do. If you all start playing well and everybody gets better, it's a win to us. The other thing is what Andrew Berry is telling you is this offense is getting it done. This offense right now is playing better than we anticipated it to play, and we are stunned out of our stinking minds.
Yeah, that's exactly what he's saying. He's saying it's not good enough. The guys who we had in that locker room aren't getting done, and we need to bring somebody else in from the outside who doesn't know the scheme, doesn't know what we're doing, but has the wherewithal and athletic ability and the cognitive ability to understand and to retain the playbook quickly and get on the field and make plays. So that's all it's about. That's all it's about. And I'll give him credit for that because I'm an aggressive guy at heart. And my thing is, I'm not wasting no time, man. I'm into the fierce urgency of now. I don't have no time to be waiting 10, 15 years. We've heard that same shucking and jiving and rigmarole for the last, I don't know, 30 years. And I'm glad that somebody at GM doesn't say, well, guys, we like to build through the draft. We're going to have to wait a little bit. Next year, there's a backer coming out that we like. There's a good crop of no. Get me someone today because right now, every day, you don't get me somebody Nick Chubb is wearing to wear and tear off his legs, and you'll just see what kind of pace Nick Chubb is on this next segment. You tell me if you want to waste this type of performance and this type of performance from him and some of the other skill position players by waiting on defensive linemen and guys who come around to do your job, and you're going to be alarmed at what the offense is what the offense has been doing and what type of pace they're on. So I'm in for the move. Anything else, and he could go back and give me a D tackle too if he wants to.
Well, the thing is with all the tweets coming from your major NFL reporters and stuff like this, Charles Robinson at Yahoo, he basically said, this might not be the only trade the Cleveland Browns are involved in. Look, there's no way you can be looking at that linebacker room and saying, well, we got to get somebody in here, and then you're looking at that defensive tackle room and saying, now we're good. There ain't no way. You're looking at both those groups and saying you're not doing what we need you to do. So, hey, who knows? The guys were in town working out on Friday. Let's it wouldn't stun me if we hear a name somewhere here in the next 24, 36 hours, especially with the fact that the Cleveland Browns are carrying 11 offensive linemen on the roster right now. 3 of them didn't even dress yesterday. So guess what? If they ain't even dressing, then we even need them here anymore. Jeff, Lloyd, Garrett, Bush, your latest Locked On Browns. If you haven't tried Built Bar Puffs yet, you are depriving yourself of one of life's greatest joys. And guess what? There is a new flavor. Are you ready? Delicious, indulgent cookie dough covered in chocolate. That's right. Built has done it again. Let me introduce you to your new favorite. Cookie dough chunk puffs have a light and chewy texture, real cookie dough chunks, and of course, they're covered in 100% real chocolate. Cookie dough chunk puffs are only 160 calories, and they have a whopping 15 grams of protein in them. Like all Built Bars, the new cookie dough chunk puff is covered in 1% real chocolate. That means they are healthy and tasty. Chocolate-covered cookie dough with a light, fluffy texture. So good. What's great about Built is that all their bars are made with collagen protein, which your body absorbs more efficiently and provides tons of health benefits. Eat something that tastes good and is good for you. You are going to love the new cookie dough chunk puff, whether you need a snack for your workout, late-night treat, or just need to grab a quick bite. Built is the perfect protein bar, and they taste better than a candy bar. Ditch the calories, fat, and sugar. Grab yourself a Built bar. Go to Built.com. Use promo code LOCKEDON15 and get 15% off your order. Again, promo code LOCKEDON15.
Welcome back to the Locked On Browns podcast. G. Bush, Jeff Lloyd. We want to thank everybody for making Locked On Browns their first listen of the day. Continue to support us on wherever you get your podcasts, and you can download them on any of those platforms. Don't forget, we got the Roku app out. Make sure you've got your smart TVs. You got your apps on your phone. You can definitely check us out over there. Make sure you go ahead and find us on the podcast, and we appreciate you continue to support the podcast as well as the YouTube channel. And we're well on our way to 3,000. Let's try. Is it 4,000? 3,000? 4,000? We on the way to 4. I'll be confused sometimes.
Woo!
We on the way to that 4, man. Let's see if we get there within the next few days, man. I know we can do that. When we pumping out some good content, we're gonna try to get you some special guests this weekend. So we're gonna try to do that as well. Jeff, we talked about some of the downfalls of the defense, and there's a lot of people who have now been trying to put a little bit of the losses and give some things to put on a Stefanski's plate, right? But when you look at what this team has done in terms of production, it's undeniable that he has done what he needs to do. I can understand what some people say, because I still critical about some of the plays that he runs in the red zone. I'm a guy who in the red zone, I believe, yeah, sometimes you can fool people and get tight ends out and slip them out of the backfield or whatever the case may be. But for me, when you got a line like we do and 2 running backs like we do, and a quarterback that is probably one of the best in the league is a quarterback sneaking, those are my options there for me. I don't have a problem with running some combination of what those things are 4 straight times. Whether it's sneaks, whether it's Chubb, whether it's Hunt, no problem with that. But when you talk about scheming people open, get people open, and the projection that's been out there so far, you cannot hate on Kevin Stefanski. You talk about Amari Cooper is on pace for a 1,000-yard season. You're talking about not only him, Nick Chubb is on for a historic pace, and David Njoku is out here looking like he's one of the better tight ends, pushing 1,000 yards. But I'll let you get to the one about Nick Chubb, because when you told me what the stat was and how many yards he was on pace for, I was like, shut your mouth. This is crazy, right? This don't make no sense. Right now, to me, Stefanski is not the issue, and these stats will bear it out.
Look, is Coach Stefanski in the offense performing at an elite level? No. The interception yesterday, look, I mean, you see the still photo. That's one Jacoby Brissett, put the ball under your arm. I'm not saying he's going to take it in for the touchdown in that incident, but most likely he is going to get the first down. So guess what? Now you got 4 cracks, just like Garrett was saying. Probably 4 cracks from the 2.5, 3-yard line. I'll go Nick. I'll go Kareem. I will go Jacoby Brissett in those 4 snaps, and I'm going to feel really damn good about myself, most likely to get that touchdown in that situation. David Njoku is on a pace for 82 receptions and 900 yards. Amari Cooper is on pace for 92 receptions and 1,000 yards. Nick Chubb is on pace to run for 2,107 yards.
That's crazy.
These 3 players combined are on the pace for 4,000 total yards between the 3 of them, with Jacoby Brissett as the quarterback position. This is a team that is eventually going to graduate to Deshaun Watson, who is back in Berea today. For anybody who wonders what that means, it means he's allowed to go to the gym. He's allowed to go to team meetings. That's it. November 14th, he can start participating in practice. But that is just a juxt of what Deshaun Watson can do in his return to the Browns at this point. So you want to look, if your problem is Stefanski's keeping Joe Woods around, okay, that's fine. That has nothing to do with the way the offense is playing. If your problem is that Cade York missed 2 field goals yesterday, that's fine. But that has nothing to do with what Kevin Stefanski is doing with this offense. They are putting up points. They are putting up yards. Every now and then they get in a position where Jacoby's not comfortable in a quick 2-minute drill. I get it. You understand that. One of the reasons he's a backup quarterback in this league. But you were out there week in, week out, putting up yards, putting up points, and you're getting held down by the other side of the ball. And all of us who cover this team right now are sitting here like, never saw this coming. None of us saw this coming, because the offense is playing light years ahead of where we thought they would be. And in the same breath, Garrett, the defense is playing light years below where they thought they were going to. Like, I look at these guys and it's like, who are they? And look, if Denzel Ward is leading your team in tackles and has 9 solo tackles, Grant Delpit is 2nd or 3rd in total tackles, that's not good, because there means they're tackling a bunch of running backs, which you don't want your cornerback doing. And if your safety is, that means it's the last line of defense. So I understand they tried at the defensive tackle position to say, we think there's something there. Look, we invested draft capital into these guys. That's fine. You could play all 4 of them at the same time and play 13. I don't know if it's going to make much of a difference, Garrett. The linebackers, look, Jacob Phillips never got his opportunity due to a lot of his time because of injury. Every now and then we see Jacob Phillips, and he said, wow, a little flash to it, man, a little something to this guy. Now, when he's had basically the onus on him for 2 weeks, He hasn't been great. JOK and he don't work in unison. Sione Takitaki, we're going to leave him out of this. Quietly kind of does his thing, Sione Takitaki. The problem is, he comes off the field more than the other two do. Browns go to nickel. Sione's the one that comes off. And right now, I'd say leave him on there because I want the guys who play physical and he's going to play some heart as opposed to running around trying to make something happen.
Let me tell you this real quick, Jeff. Sione Takitaki PFF grade is a 70. You look at JOK's grade is a 63.2. Jacob Phillips is down in an unacceptable range at 36%. And to prove your point, when Anthony Walker went out, he was grading out as an 82%. So that Anthony just Walker, goes to show you.
Yep. So if you're going to take anything on this today, Anthony Walker, probably the most vital person on that defense. Joe Woods, I'm not sure what's going to happen, but I got news for you. If he gets this week and this performance isn't even close to stellar on Sunday against the Patriots, which we'll get into, and that's a whole other ball of wax this week, you really got to consider whether or not that relationship is going to continue. Dion Jones into the fold. We'll see how immediately. Obviously, going to get limited here, over the next 2 days. We'll see where Dion Jones stands, how quickly he can be a part of this team. And you want to point the finger at Coach Stefanski. It better not be with the premise of, talking about the offensive side of the ball, because they are getting it done and getting it done with Jacoby Brissett. He is Garrett Bush, Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, 11 to 1 Monday through Friday. Saturday morning, 92.3, The Fans, The Barbershop, pregame, postgame coverage for what now? Ohio State, Guardians. Browns.
We working.
If anybody's got any recommendations on voice exercises and lengthening your voice, Garrett Bush is all ears at GBush91. Self, Jeff Lloyd at Jeff_LJ_Lloyd. The show at Locked On Browns. Again, wherever you get your podcasts, make sure you are subscribed to Locked On Browns YouTube. Subscribe, hit the notification button, and of course the Roku app. Locked On Cleveland Sports, you'll find us, you'll find Locked On Guardians, you will find Locked On Cavs, you will find the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. It's cool, and the evolution of the show and more promotion that the show gets, and a chance for eyes to get on it. We're appreciating and thankful for, from everyone here at Locked On, of course, everyone at Tegna. We're very, 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 very thankful for all that you guys do for us. With all this being said, this has been your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound. LGB on the LOB. Let's go Browns.